to the Refill. I'm your host, Ron Daniel. Listen, we got another great show for you. If you've been fooling with us since the first podcast, you already know how we get down. Everything gospel rap. The DJs, the artists, the promoters, the influencers. Listen, if this your first time coming on the Refill, I gotta let you know what we do and how we get down. This is a podcast that highlight everything in the gospel rap space, global wide, from the artists, the DJs, the promoters, the influencers, everybody who make gospel rap rock and roll. And tonight we got another great show with another great artist. Listen, this brother here is a DJ. He's a gear junkie. He's a Marvel Comics enthusiast. Listen, he is what I call one of the people that's like a pillar in the gospel rap space, in the DJ game. We're going to bring him on all the way from Austin, Texas. Not Houston, Texas. Austin, Texas. DJ D Lite.
What's up? What's up, man? Man, thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the love, and man, just excited to be on the podcast, man. I'm excited about all that God is doing through you, man. So good to be a part of it.
Yes, sir, man. I had to get you on. I've seen you, man, in the beginning, you know, man. I had to get you on. I tell everybody that follow me, they know I say this all the time. I'm like, I really follow gospel rap. I'm talking about from coast to coast, north, south, east, and west, and now through social media, global wide, and it's just seeing cats move around in the global wide. And so for people that's been watching the show, they know how we get down. They know what we do every week at 6 o'clock Central Time. And tonight we got one of the DJs. I love talking to the DJs. I'm an artist, promoter, but I love talking to the DJs because the DJs see the game different. And I tell people all the time, just in music, period, the DJs is an intricate part of just the music industry. That's why the DJs still exist, and that's why they're around, because cats can make the music and just shoot it to a DJ, and DJ say, hey, I'm gonna play it and break this new single you got. Now you got like all these people following and getting down what you're doing. And so I see gospel rap the same way, man. It's we got DJs too that get down too in the space. But bro, before we get into that, bro, take us, I always lead off with this question. Take us all the way back, bro, to what got you started in gospel rap. What was that spark your interest? And for you to say, you know what, I need to get involved with this.
Yeah, man. So I think the most monumental moment for me that I just knew that it was what God had put in my heart to do, and it was something that I just had to get my hands on it and get involved in it. There was a brother locally here in Austin. Now, mind you, I had just graduated from college. My wife and I, we got married. We lived about an hour outside of town, but we eventually moved back in town. So when I moved back in town, I'm listening to the radio one day, and I hear this dude. Now, mind you, I had just got introduced not too many years before that to Christian hip hop. Right. But I had never heard it on the radio. Right. So I'm listening to this cat, man, locally, and he has a bona fide Christian hip hop radio show on FM radio. And I'm like, I'm floored, man. I'm like, so I start following this dude, like listening to him and just, and I'm like inside, I got this itch, man. Like, man, I need to be doing that. So I was blessed. My wife and I, at the time, we were working with the youth at our church. And we happened to find out that at this time, now I'm going to date myself because some people might not even know who I'm talking about. But there was a group in the early 90s, kind of around 94, 95, I believe, called A1 Swift. It was a husband and wife hip hop artist group. And they were bad, man. They were signed to that same label that Kirk was signed. I think they were like the second Gospel Centric. They were the second group that was signed on that label after Kirk. Right. And so this DJ brought them to town, to this black college that we had in town. So we were like, man, we got to take the youth. And when I saw him, you know, putting together a show, seeing it, bringing them out, I was like, dude, that was me. Lo and behold, man, that dude became my mentor. Right. His name is Kevin Special K Brown. Right. For you that may have never heard him, he's one of the longest running hip hop gospel DJs in the world. I mean, this cat was doing it when churches said if you played it, you was of the devil.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he's
Right.
dude, he's been around, and like I said, he was my mentor, and I still acknowledge him as my mentor, man, that in ministry and just the way that he's done things. He poured so much into me and encouraged me to step out, and basically by him doing what he did, it enabled me to do what I did, which ultimately, bro, what got me into actually physically DJing. There was a event that we had in our city called Praise in the Park.
Right.
The first year I couldn't get involved in it because I found out about it too late. But I was like, that second year, I was like, I'm gonna get involved in this ministry. And basically it was like a day where they took over like different parks each year. And they just literally had like groups, just performing. They had stuff for the kids, bouncy house, fed people. And it's like, I need to be involved in that. So when I went to the meeting the second year, they started like putting out all the needs that they needed, like for, the park maintenance, like who was going to cook. And then they threw out this next one. They said, we need somebody to work the stage, specifically a DJ. Now, mind you, bro, I ain't had no equipment. I ain't had nothing, but I had a lot of music. And in my mind, I'm like, I volunteered to be the DJ. So immediately, as soon as that meeting was over, I hit the local music store. I bought me a mixer. I bought me 2 CD players. And that was literally my intro to DJing, man. That was like in 1996. And did that for several years for this group. And then ultimately, bro, from that, I met a brother, and I was just talking with you earlier, one of my oldest friends I've been known for about 20-some years, man. His name is Ahmad Bell, a.k.a. Victorious. He's a hip-hop artist that lives here in my city. In fact, he's one of the dudes that I've done a lot of stuff with over the years, South by Southwest and other things. But anyway, I met him during this time, and we became really good friends, so much so, man, that several years later, we had our own FM radio show locally.
Right.
So, like I said, man, God's been good. And, that was the foundation. But it all started with Kevin Special K Brown, man, the dude that influenced me.
Already, man. Shout out to Kevin Special K Brown.
Yes, sir.
I love hearing that, bro. Before I ask this question, when you went to the store and bought what mixer did you get, bro?
Dude, so check this out. You're going to laugh. Don't laugh, because I had a budget.
Go ahead, man.
My wife was like, when she started seeing all these bills, she's like, what are you doing? So I bought, you're going to laugh, right? I bought a Gemini mixer.
No, man.
Because it was all I could afford at the time. So I bought a Gemini mixer, and I bought these, I forget what CD players they were, but everything was Gemini. You know what I'm saying? And but they got the job done, and then eventually I moved up to Newmark, and now I rock Pioneer and Denton. So
yes, sir. Yeah, hey, bro, we got to start somewhere, man.
Gotta start somewhere, man.
Bro, I tell cats all the time, man. I remember when we first got in the gospel rap game, and my first microphone was like a $45 microphone. I can't remember the name of it. I just remember it was black and it was on sale. And at Guitar Center somewhere, man. And
yeah, man.
But it was like he was showing me these mics. Hey man, this is 900. This one, 1,000. And that time I didn't know the value of microphones. I was like, man, just give me a mic, man. I ain't finna pay $1,000 for no mic. No $2,000. Man, give me that old $50 mic right there. We do something. Man, when I listen to that old stuff now, man, I'm like, man, we don't take that thing and trash that old $50 microphone, man. And throw it. Look, I don't know what that thing. I knew I threw it away or something. I probably gave it away or something, man. But we all got to start somewhere, man. Like you said, now after a while, you like, okay, I better get this, all this different gear now to make it really work. Let me ask you this, bro. So now you in gospel rap, you're moving around in it, and you in it. What was your first thoughts of it? Now you're moving around as a DJ in the gospel rap space.
In the beginning, now I can literally say I was there when a lot of stuff was in its inception. I seen cats like Dynamic Twins, and like I said, some people will be like, "Who are they talking about?" But Dynamic Twins. I mentioned A1 Swift, Soldiers for Christ, SFC, Idle King. So many of those groups, man, that started and then ultimately led to what we knew was like the ones that really broke it. That I believe what really broke it was cross movement.
Right.
But a lot of the early groups, and people might not be familiar with the Grape Tree days, but a lot of those groups lyrically they were on point. The things that they were saying. But I think what took a little while for it to take effect was production. The production was not at the level that you would normally hear hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the scripture says, "Don't despise small beginnings."
Already.
I don't look at anything that those dudes did and consider it a waste.
Right.
Because they laid the foundation for where a lot of cats are today that many people don't even know about. You know what I'm saying?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Cats like T-Bone. You know what I'm saying? You listen to early T-Bone, it didn't sound like what he eventually got to throughout the years. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But a lot of those guys were trailblazers, man, with what they did. So yeah, cats like I said, the ones that I mentioned, man, are like for me, when I gave up secular music, and that's a whole nother story because I was trying to break it in the industry. I sing too, so I was trying to break in as an R&B singer. God came into my life, man. Spirit of God filled me, and I just literally just forsook music. So my whole mindset when it came to music, I literally was willing to give it up completely because it had become such an idol. Until God, he literally did like Moses. I threw the rod on the ground and God breathed on it and told me to pick it back up, and he anointed that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I got music back, especially when I found Christian hip hop, because all I knew in gospel was choirs. That's all I knew. That's all I was listening to because I thought that was all that was out there until somebody gave me the first tape. I'm going back in time. The first cassette tape somebody gave me was Dynamic Twins. And I was like, man, you can rap for Christ? And that did it. That blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? Because I was a big hip hop head, man. NWA, Public Enemy. I mean, that was my groups, But when God saved me, I got rid of all that. But then to refill that void with Christian hip hop, it radically changed me, man. So I've seen, like I said, the evolution of where cats have gone. And for many of them, like I said, man, they were trailblazers. They were doing stuff that no one had ever done before. So you got to give them that leeway that it wasn't the way people might have sonically wanted to hear it. But because they took that step, I believe we are at this place now where we got, like I said, eventually came the cross movements and the Lecraes and the Flames and the Detroots. Other people laid those foundations for these cats to be accepted where they are today. So and that's one thing, bro, and I want to get on it. Christian hip hop, and I hope I don't get controversial with this.
Go ahead with it,
but we do such a bad job of not honoring folks, man.
Yes, sir.
Of honoring people who, now I'm not saying honor me, I don't care. But I'm talking about people who have laid a foundation and who've done stuff, and people don't even know who they are. We the only genre that I know, bro, that does that. I mean, even gospel people honor, the old cats from back. Right. But Christian hip hop cats, they don't know cats that came out 5 years ago.
Right.
Let alone 10, you know what I'm saying? And this thing, like I said, I got into this thing in 96 and there was cats that were already out there. You know what I'm saying? So I that's one thing that really hurts me is that we don't honor the people that have laid those foundations like we should. I'm not saying everybody does it because honestly, you know it and you do it yourself, man. Right. But I'm saying there's a whole generation of young people that don't have no idea. They've never heard of Grits. They've never, never heard of some of these awesome groups that was in the early, laying down the foundation for where we are today, man. So
yes, sir. Bo, you hit it on the head, man. I mean, because it's I'm big on that, and that's one of the reasons why we made this podcast. Is to highlight that. I'm not one of those cats. Let's just put a whole bunch of cats that people I already know on the show. Mm-hmm. I'm not into. I ain't never been into that. I'm into. Let's talk about the gospel rap story. Mm-hmm. Let's talk that. It's easy to make a podcast. Okay, hey, DJ D Lite, talk about your next mixtape when it's coming out, and 5 minutes of talking, and that's it. But I want people to understand the story. What you saying, like the history. Like there's a history. I know when I got in it. And I told you at the beginning, I said I didn't know what a gospel rapper was. Now you mentioned Idol King. I'm gonna tell you the interesting thing about Idol King. I remember sitting at the house. I had been I might have been maybe 8th or 9th grade, maybe 8th or 9th grade. I remember cutting on the radio. You know, that's when radio was bumping. You sit and you just listening. You know, you with your partner, you just listening. All the partners go home. I remember hearing Ida King. It was a local station here. This station still here today. It's 88.3. It's a local station, and they got it's a what they call the station. It's not the big station. It's the
like communities.
Community radio. Right. They was the first one I heard play Ida King.
Wow.
That was the first. I told you about Antonius, but that was the first gospel group I heard. Oh, I was like, okay, who is these dudes? And they rapping about God. And I remember hearing it, and then it went off. I was like, man, who's these dudes? You know, they just snuck them in there. And then the next song was talking about, hey, man, we about to drink, smoke, do everything. But, you know, they snuck that in there like that. And I said, hey, these boys all right. And so, but I'm glad you took it back to that because cats got to know, and you know, myself included, we all have to do a better job of highlighting who did it before us. So people say, okay, this thing the gospel rap is heavy, it's deep,
absolutely,
it's got a long lineage of just cats that have been putting it down, and especially you know in the early years when you talk about, you know, it was when preachers and pastors trying to figure out what is this stuff. Y'all coming in here trying to teach our kids how to be rebellious and. You know, what y'all got these baggy clothes on and DJs on your feet? You know, I've been through that thing. You know,
man.
Yeah, man. Let me ask you this, bro. The gospel rap. I'm gonna go back. The gospel rap game or space when you first came in to where it is right now. What do you think are some of the things that and speak from your DJ hat, bro? What do you think was some of the things that made the sound change? And I know we can talk about what we practice and we just worked on beats, but what were some of the things you done that made the sound change where it's not acceptable? People say, okay, this thing sound good.
So I'm going to preface something with what I'm about to say. Remember I was saying earlier how early in the day the content was there as far as the lyrical content was cool, but the production. Okay, so now we're in a situation where the lyrical content is on point and the production is on point.
Right.
What I notice, and this is not across the board with everybody, but what I notice is sometimes, bro, I listen and I don't know what they're talking about.
Go ahead, bro.
Just being honest, I don't know what they talking about. Are you talking about God, or you in a situation where you didn't make it into secular, but you're using Christian hip hop to get, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I think sometimes when I listen, because I don't understand what they're talking about. And to me, if you're not conveying, see, that's why I say back in the day, you listened to it, you weren't confused. You knew what they were talking about. Production might have sucked, it might have been horrible. But at the end of the day, the message that they were trying to convey got across.
Right.
Nowadays, it's hit or miss. It's like sometimes I hear it, sometimes I don't. Not, and once again, not across the board. But I think there has to be that balance. You know, definitely cats have learned the importance of production, and they've learned the importance of, you know, using the right, you know, rhythm structure and all those things that go into making an awesome song. You know what I'm saying? All of it. But once again, I'm my favorite word, one of my favorite words is balance. You know, there has to be that balance where anybody, if they pick up this song, they can hear it and know immediately what they're talking about. But when they gotta sit and decipher it, did you really accomplish your goal?
Right.
If you had a goal in the beginning, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if it was, you just wanted to create a song, that's fine. I mean, but once again, and I've always said this is what I believe. I believe that there are some people God has called to be gospel rap ministers, meaning that that's their calling. There are some people who just use the genre as an entertainment space. Neither one is wrong. There's neither one that's wrong.
Right.
But my mindset is this: if you're going to be a minister, minister. If you're going to be an artist, be an artist. But the bottom line is, when you put gospel in front of it, or when you put Christ in front of it, make sure the people understand clearly what you're trying to delineate. Otherwise, you're going to confuse them. And the author of confusion is not God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's my take on it. So that's where I think, like I said, ultimately, I listen to a lot of stuff, and production-wise, I'm like, man, that's awesome. But sometimes I listen to the lyrical content, and I'm confused. I'm like, why is this on a Christian hip hop site and it's not? You know what I'm saying? I'm confused by what they're trying to convey. So I hope that answered your question. But that's
bro. That you answered, man. That was good, because I'm the same way. When I hear, and I've talked to a lot of cats across the board, they say the same thing. It's like cats now just saying, they put words together and then they say, okay, God, like rat, cat, spat, dog, Jesus, box, fox, socks, the Lord. And I'm like, man, what is these boys talking about? But I tell cats, I said, I think that's the need of, that's where I believe discipleship is so important.
Absolutely.
And this why I'm with it, is that if you see a cat, but I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna say the second thing. If you see a cat, say, this dude talented, this dude going hard for the Lord, let me help this dude. And my thing is always read the word. Mm-hmm. And so when you out there, like you say, you ministering the gospel. Let me take you back, bro. I talk about this all the time. When I first, one of my earliest shows ever, I drove 2 hours away to Memphis. I'm in Little Rock. Memphis is 2 hours away. Mm-hmm. And so I drove to Memphis. It was Mr. Dale. Mr. Dale and they was doing it. Yeah. Man, to this day, I don't know how we found out. I know the Lord wanted us to go, but I don't know how we found out about this event, and somehow we just got to Memphis. Mm. Man, we're in Memphis. We driving up there the whole time. I'm talking, man, we in the car. It's about 3 of us. Oh, man, we about to go in the room. We about to let these boys know the Rock Town is here. We about to, man, let these boys know. I'm talking, we get in there, man, we on top of chairs, swinging tires. They said, man, who these boys in here? They ready. The next day, the Lord put something in my spirit so heavy that I live by to this day. He told me verbatim, he said, you didn't do nothing last night. He said, you better minister this music through these beats and you got to minister this thing. And
yeah,
so
man.
My focus changed just like that. I said, okay, you want me to minister through these type beats, minister through this, do this gospel rap vehicle.
Amen.
And so I tell cats, I said, man, the second thing to that is, where the cats listen, the younger cats anyway, where they listen to a DJ D Lite, where they listen to a Ron Daniel, you say, man, look, you need to read the word, pray, and add this to your music structure. Because you just can't jump out there talking about, the box, socks, rat, pack, Jesus. I'm like,
right.
Man, what is you talking about, dog? And everybody listening, say, man, what is you talking about? Bro, what do you think about the need? Add on to that, too, if you can, the need for discipleship in the gospel rap space.
It's essential. It's essential. It's essential for anything that you're going to do in the name of Jesus. I mean, if you're going to step out and attach his name to it, you're going to have to know who he is. Yes, that's the most important thing, because in anything that he's called us to do for him, whether it's rap, whether it's whatever career you're pursuing, you're representing him in that element. So it's important. If you're going to represent him, you got to know about him. You got to know what his word says. You got to know how his character is, because that's what people are going to see. My DJ name, DJ D Lite, where I get that from is Matthew 5:16. It's my favorite passage in the scriptures. And it says, Jesus says, let your light so shine before men that they see. Yes, see your good works and glorify your Father. So everything that we do should be an expression of who we are in him. Because a homeboy of mine has this statement that I love. He puts it on the little tagline of his email. He says, preach the gospel, use words when necessary.
Yes, sir.
Your life is a gospel to somebody. And so is it going to be a gospel of you, or is it going to be a gospel that points people to him? So that's the biggest thing that I think, man, that, and like you said, that starts with sometimes the best thing. And I think a lot of times cats want to get on the mic so fast But the biggest thing you need to do sometimes is sit and learn something first.
Yes, sir.
Learn something first. Not that nobody says you're not ready. That's not the point. The point is you want a foundation. If you don't build a foundation, or you try to build a house without a solid foundation, let's see how long that house is going to last.
Right.
So in your walk as a believer, in your walk as a hip hop artist, whatever it might be, you want your structure and your foundation to be so solid that no matter what happens, you have that security of knowing, man, who you are in Christ, because that's what's going to keep you. Knowing who you are in Him, and that only comes from learning. That only comes from being submitted. You know what I'm saying? You that's very, very essential, man. So you need it. You need to be in a fellowship where people are. The Bible says that iron sharpens iron. So you need to be around other believers that are speaking the word in your life, and you can speak into their life. And so that makes all the difference in the world, man. That makes all the difference in the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do agree, because I see a lot of cats, they get in. I've met cats, and the one thing I don't do, I don't name drop cats, but I've met cats, they come by my office and they ready to jump out here. They said, man, we about to kick the devil in his teeth. I'm like, hold on, bro. Slow down.
Right.
You can't fight them with them hands, man.
Right.
And so, and then later on, now they ain't gospel rapping no more. They ain't doing that. So I'm like, that need for, I'm big on that, about studying that word and then applying that word. If you a gospel rapper, you got to live the life.
Absolutely.
Is it easy? No. But the Bible just saying do it to the end. That's just endure. And
Amen.
So, that's just, I tell you, I said, man, being a gospel rap artist or a Christian, I said, it's not, it don't say we perfect. It just say, we know we flawed. We know we need the Savior's help to help us, cause we in this flesh. And we got to do everything we can every day to get back to Him in heaven.
Yep. Absolutely, man.
And pull people along the way, tell them boys, y'all come on this side, man. Ain't nothing over there.
Absolutely.
Y'all come
Absolutely.
on.
Absolutely, man. That's so true.
Go ahead.
I mean, you think of King David. That's the one I think of all the time, man. I mean, David, and this is before even Christ, Old Covenant, you know what I'm saying? David, he messed up so many times.
Man, so many times, man.
So many times, but God said that's a man after my own heart. Why? Because he understood, if I fall, I can't stay on my knees. I got to get in His presence to get cleansed. And that's like you said, that's what happens, is like, we're not perfect, but we serve the perfect one. You know what I'm saying? And so how much more, beyond the cross, that He's cleansed us with the blood. Right. And a righteous man, though he falls 7 times, you got to get back up 8, man. Yes, so that's the reality of it, is just knowing that, if understanding who we are in God and what He's promised us, and that comes, like you said, man, through being continually in a state, and it never ends, bro. To me, it never ends where you feel like, well, I don't have to be discipled. No, there's, as long as you're on this earth, there's new things to grow into. You know what I'm saying? So
yes, sir. I tell cats all the time, you got to always stay in a learning space.
Yeah.
I tell people, I said,
that's good, man.
I said, I don't care how much God, and I'm just gonna speak for me. He have gave me and allowed me to accumulate. I'm always in a learning space. I tell people I've learned being grown. I'm just saying, just being grown and being mature in the Lord is that I know when to speak, and I know how to just shut up and sit down and listen. When cats just talking and chopping it up, like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I tell people I don't know everything anyway. I always know that. I know what I know. Look, bro, I don't know how they made these fitted caps. I don't know how they made this microphone. I know what I know, but if somebody tries to explain to me how they made this microphone, I think I'm gonna sit and listen. I'm gonna say, man, okay, now I know how to these wires inside this microphone. I know how it works now.
Right.
Yes, sir. Bro, let me ask you this, bro. So now you moving into DJ space, man. DJs throw a lot of mixtapes out in the streets, man. Talk about the mixtape game. Now, I'm gonna say this. I've been on one of your mixtapes back in the day. You probably don't remember back in the day. It was the Obama election one.
Yeah. That was
back in the day. Matter of fact, you know what, bro? Let me tell you this. I'm gonna take it back. When that happened, no. I was cleaning up You know, I tell cats, I said, man, I still got my CDs. I still bump my CD.
I do too.
I download everything. I said, Joko, you know, I still got the CD player.
Yeah, man.
Man, I found it. Bumping that thing bumping. And so, let me ask this, bro. The mixtape space now, some people say, oh, ain't no need for mixtape. Some people say, yes, it is. You know, what's your thoughts on the mixtape space then? You know, doing it as a DJ versus, you know, we in the streaming and downloading space now.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it?
Man, I don't think they've lost steam, bro. I mean, honestly, right. I mean, because what the mixtape to me has always been is that way to introduce people to new stuff that they may have never been acquainted to on their own. You know what I'm saying? There's still a place for that. You know what I'm saying? And I believe the DJs who are skilled, who are able to, you know, pick together those pieces of different selections to put them together in a thematic way to let people know about new stuff that's out there. Even though streaming is huge, you know, cats, you know, they still streaming mixtapes, you know, on the platform. So, you know, the method might be different because, like you mentioned back then, it was the CDs. You know what I'm saying? Right. But you know, nowadays I still see them. You know, I still see people putting them together. Probably not at the frequency that I used to see them because I used to see them a lot. And I think that's going to change. I really do. But yeah, man, I think that the need for them and the consistency needs to pick up because, like you mentioned, there are a lot of times when DJs have access to stuff before the public knows it. Right. And so what better way to encapsulate it? And artists are smart that understand and use the DJs. There's cats that I've worked with over the years, man, who understand that relationship between the DJ and the crowd, and putting together something that the people can appreciate that helps them understand who that artist is. Right. Shout out to my boy Gifted the Flamethrower. He's one of the ones. This dude did a series called Monsters Do Exist. Right. I can't even tell you how many volumes he did, but every single volume he did, he would feature a different DJ. I happen to be on volume 10. So, right. So, but man, that was just ingenious, you know, and, you know, like I said, I think that that's something that artists shouldn't stray away from, especially when it's people that don't know who they are. You know, utilize those old techniques that work. They work. Yes, if they worked back then, my God, man, they'll work today, but you just got to be creative nowadays with it. But I believe, man, that the need for them, I think we should see the consistency of them kind of, you know, pick back up, man. Right.
And shout out to that boy Gifted the Flamethrower. We had him on, I want to say it was the early show, like maybe show 6 or 5, maybe. Yeah.
Flamethrower. Yes, that's my boy, man. I hadn't hollered at him in a minute. I might have to shot him a little call pretty soon.
Yes, sir. We had him on, man. But
good people.
Let me ask you this, bro. Now we're in the streaming space, man. And the DJs, like I said, you know, the mixtapes, and now we're in the stream space. How, in your opinion, the streaming space, like we know CD. I tell people out there, CDs ain't dead. And I tell people, I said, somebody actually said, man, well, why you keep saying that? I said, man, I don't think it's dead, or I don't think it's gonna go away anywhere until I walk in a Walmart or a Target and they don't sell them no more.
Right.
I say if they still selling them, it's a reason why and the players, the CD players.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we in the streaming space now. Talk about how the streaming space helped and hurt gospel rap overall.
Man, that's a good question. So I think it helps because of the way streaming exists. Like you can literally reach a worldwide market. Just like that with streaming. Right. Where it may have hurt Christian hip hop is artists not knowing how to acclimate appropriately to it. And what I'm saying is streaming can be a blessing and it can be a curse. And what I say that is if you haven't developed, like literally with streaming, I saw artists, now this is on the secular side, I saw artists when streaming began where they were like, I'm trying to get a label deal. Forget that. I'm my own label. And they began appropriating themselves in a fashion that they became a brand. So from their website, from their social media, no matter if stuff was streamed or whatever, it all piped back to them as the brand. And so people saw this backlog of all the stuff that these artists had done. And the artists, they're like, we don't need no label, because guess what? We ain't got to split nothing with that label. Right, so they basically use the streaming completely as promotion. And that's why I think a lot of times in Christian hip hop, because cats have not taken that route of investing in themselves and creating solid platforms like a solid website and solid social media. The social media should just point people in the direction of your brand, quote unquote, of who you are. You know what I'm saying? So that way they find out this album that you did that's not even on Spotify or Tidal. They find out about this album that you did, like, hold up. And then they start looking at this catalog of stuff that you have. And so you start getting a balance of the people that's coming to the streaming stuff and the people that are coming to your website or whatever it is where your merchandise is. So like I said, I think because artists have not everybody, but I'm saying I think because artists didn't appropriate themselves to make a way for the social, for the streaming platforms to gear to them. It's kind of like I say, it kind of cut them, you know what I'm saying? Because the streaming service is making all the money off of them.
Yes, sir.
They're not seeing anything. Well, you gotta have that leverage pointing people back to who you are as an artist. And if that doesn't exist, you're gonna have a deficit, you know what I'm saying? So artists, hear me, artists, do not be ashamed to invest in yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. If you believe in who you are and what God has put in you, get you a solid website, get you a solid social media platform, get a nice logo and because it's nothing wrong with that stuff, but it's necessary for you to be successful. So that would be what I would tell artists and make a way for that streaming platform to just become a way to point people back to your brand, to your website, to whoever you are as an artist.
Bro, you hit it on the head, bro. We about to dive into this thing now, because one thing, if it's one thing in the gospel rap space, I am for 10 toes down. It's the business side. And I think we focus so much on ministry, then we forget about the branding, the marketing, the hey, present this paperwork. Hey, okay, I'm gonna sign myself a deal. I told the cat man, a good friend of mine, we chop it up every now and then, but I remember he was so adamant about, I'm gonna go to Sony, I'm gonna get signed, this and that. I told him, I said, bro, let me tell you something. I said, you gospel rap, don't you? Yeah. I said, man, you talk about Jesus 24/7. Yeah. I said, Sony gonna look at you and send you home. I said, man, you talk about Jesus too much, man. I said, Dang, if you ain't coming there talking about I got the Draco and I'm finna shoot 59 folks and they mamas and Joker, then I'm finna put the pack together. And I'm finna go find who all the Mexican cartels they rapping about.
Right.
I'm finna go find the Mexican cartel Joker. They finna come over to the hood and fool with me. Man, they ain't sad to you, man. And so
it's true.
And he tried it. He went out to Sony like, man, hey, this good, but man, to say what we want. Bro, talk about the importance of branding, man. Because that's one word I had to. And my wife, she know I say this all the time. I said, I don't like the word brand. I think somebody just up there on 5th Avenue in New York, they just say, oh, let's just brand. They just threw that in the atmosphere. Everybody say, oh, we all branding now. We branding. But I get it. Yeah. Man, talk about the importance of branding, and then talk about the importance of now. You hit on two things. One is the record companies, they're not signing cats up. They just not. And the smart cats are saying, like you said, the smart cats are saying, you know what? I can go to Guitar Center. I can go buy my own equipment. I can go buy my own speakers. I can go buy a beat online for $75, and I'm in the game. You know, and then they're like, hey, I'm signing myself, and then I'm gonna get on social media and just hype myself up. But talk about those two things, the brand and then cats this, the importance of, or if it's still a need for the record companies as a whole.
So the first thing I would say in regard to branding, let's use another word for branding. Okay.
Go ahead.
Identity. That's all branding is your identity. And so once again, your identity is your way to tell your story.
Right, right.
Your identity is a way to tell the things that you are passionate about, the things that you're not passionate about. So that's all goes into branding. You know, those all are elements of branding, because it identifies you to the public, letting people know who you are.
Right.
So you want to invest in that, you know what I'm saying? Because that's when they come to your website, when they come to you, look at your social media, they got to know who you are. They got to know, just like you said something that really blessed me. You said, man, I've been following you a while. So you've seen my story evolve over time. You know what I'm saying? That's what artists, that's what you want. You want your brand, AKA your identity, to reflect who you are, so that the public can be engaged in you. And when they're engaged in you, they can identify with your next single that you come out, because like, oh, that's what he was talking about. You know, I'm gonna give an example. The last album that Cray came out with, I can't, off the top of my head, I cannot think of that name of his latest album. Y'all know, y'all got it. But the Cray's latest album, he was real transparent. He got into a lot of things, but one of the beautiful things that they did, and it wasn't just for branding's sake, it made you become intimate with that project. He did like a whole video montage of all the things that he was dealing with, depression and getting to meet his dad, who he hadn't seen in years. But all of those things, when you listen to the album, they make you appreciate the album even more, because you got to see the heart behind the music. Right. That's branding. And he got with a team of people to help shape that story. Right. So that's what I say. You have to be willing to invest in that piece of it, because otherwise you're just making music. It's like just throwing something up in the air and hoping it lands somewhere. Rather than, you know, so you gotta be strategic in the way you present your message. And that's all part of what branding is involved in. As far as the aspect of the labels are still relevant. I really believe they are. I don't think that will ever change. But like you said, if you're going to a label, you got to go in with their vision. Right. Point blank. You can't. You might have a vision, but 90% of their vision is what's going to stand, and your vision going to be about that. They spending too much money, bro. So they're dictating the show. They're dictating the direction and the flow of the boat. And you just got to go along for the ride, you know. Right. And if you're comfortable with that, if you get that place where you're able, you're gonna two things is gonna happen. You're gonna be around more people, because obviously they're gonna be pushing, you know, their marketing and everything in you to make you successful. But like I said, because then you just said it too, Ron, because it's their money. Yes, sir. They gonna be pulling the strings, and you just gonna have to go with the flow. So, bro, I tried that, and I still do. I done signed cats. They done signed paperwork in my city, gospel rap cats. And I tell them all the time, I said, man, I ask all of them, I said, man, what do you bring to the table? Oh man, I can rap, I can do this, do that. I said, now okay, what do you bring to the table when you dealing with labels? And it was like, it was only one cat. I ain't gonna say his name, but man, that's my dog. And he said, man, only thing I bring to the table, bro, is just my talent. I said, what a bell is? Let me ring the bell. Ding, 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 ding. I said, because the label got, especially in the gospel rap space, man, I just spent some money, bro, money. I'm talking about some for show. I'm talking about some money just to push this thing to make it work. And coming from my city is not known for it's not an entertainment hub. But I tell cats all the time, but my city is a tourist stop. It's not an entertainment hub. When they come to the Rock Town, I mean, everybody you see on TV, they stop through the Rock Town. They hit the Simmons Bank Arena, fill up 22,000 people, and they get their money. They get out of town. They go to Dallas. It's always Memphis, Little Rock, Dallas. That's the tour. That's the tour route. And so I tell people, I say, man, I see this. We got rappers. We got all kind of artists here. Great talent, man. I tell people all the time, just in my state, I say, I put my state of just gospel rappers against anybody. I say, now if we lose, they gonna know them boys came to play. Them boys came to play. I said, if we lose, they gonna say, yeah, they came to play. Let me ask this, bro. One thing about this.
the gospel rap scene in your city, Austin, Texas, bro. I've been through Austin one time. I was actually, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't even go through Austin. I was headed to Houston, and not Houston. I was headed to San Antonio, and
Gotcha.
I stopped at Austin, went to a Subway, got some gas, and got back on the road. But me and my wife, we ride through Austin. I said, man, that's a nice city. Now I got a cousin. She just planted a church in Austin. Man, I can't think of the name. Yeah, I can't think. What's the name? I had the inbox. I think it's called Grace Life. I know I'm saying it wrong. Forgive me, Karen, if you're watching, but I know she just planted a church in Austin, and I know
that's a blessing.
Yeah, they have services at a what's that hotel ballroom, and so I sent it to you. I just can't think of it now, but yeah, she been there maybe a year and a half now.
Okay.
And so yeah, she in Austin. Her and her son just graduated LSU, moved to Austin with it. Yeah, moved to Austin with his mom. But bro, how was the gospel rap scene in Austin, Texas? And then just here go 3 questions for you. In Austin, Texas, the state of Texas, and the overall, where you think it's at, in the overall space in gospel rap as a whole?
Man, so here in Austin, I would say it's there.
Right.
It's not like it used to be in some respects.
Right.
But it's still there. I mean, there's still what I've seen, and there are cats even in our surrounding areas. You know, there's cats in San Marcos, and there's cats, you know, kind of in the north part of Austin. One brother I shout out, man, that does a lot of stuff that I see a lot of times. His name is Jarrell. He's out of San Marcos, Jarrell Flowers. Awesome man of God. Brothers that I know, I've mentioned my boy Victorious. Jay Nice, the Kingdom Builder. There's a lot of guys, man, that have done, you know, some amazing things. But to me, I think we can still see some growth, and that's what I think what's happening now is we got a new generation coming up.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Right.
We got a new generation coming up, and a lot of us who are the elders, we're in a place now where it's important for us to be that hand up to help them out. You know what I'm saying? But it's not dead by any stretch of the imagination. And there's cats that come back through, you know, like I mentioned, we got a lot of musical events that take place throughout the year that people are engaged in that come into the city. But yeah, it's my heart, man. Like I said, I want to be one of those who's kind of like reaching back to the next generation and bringing them up. You know what I'm saying? As far as in Texas, man, bro, if you literally have time, you can go through all of the Christian hip hop artists, big or small, who've come out of this state, and it'll blow your mind.
Oh, I know, bro.
A lot of people don't know Lecrae is from Texas.
Yeah, people forget.
Houston boy. You know what I'm saying? Tadashi. You know what I'm saying? Houston boy. You know, Trip Lee. All of them boys in Reach. A lot of them, half of them from Texas. You know what I'm saying? But there's so many others, man. You mentioned Grape Tree, Lil Rascal, Trey 9 from Houston. I mean, there's so many people, man, that have come out of this state that have done amazing things. Pastor Von Juan. There's so many, man. I can just go on and on and on. All the way back, I'm gonna go all the way back to the early days of Christian hip hop. A lot of people ain't never heard of this group, but PID, Peaches in Disguise from Dallas. You know what I'm saying? I brought them down for a show when I was in college. You know, it's the roots are so deep in this state, man, for Christian hip hop. And just like I said, a lot of people they're not aware of it, but that's something that I think is really, and then really, Ron, to be honest, gospel music, period, has a lot of roots in Texas. You know, Kirk Franklin, Yolanda Adams. It's just so many people that have come out of this state, man. And so we're truly blessed. But I think, once again, it's important to invest in the next generation, because we have to be willing. Once again, like I said, you know, it's not just a matter of paying homage to those who've laid the pathway. Those who've laid the pathway have to be willing to disciple and raise up the next generation and bring them up. So that's, like I said, for me, that's where I think we're at that place.
Right. And bro, you hit on the head, bro. I remember, I'm gonna share the story with you. This lady, her name is Donna Grady Krill, and she's passed away since then. But she was, when I tell you, I wish I had 10 Donald Grady cribs on my side. Bro, cause I remember we first started gospel rap here. When we was going through get out of my church. What is that mess? Don't bring that mess around here. What y'all boys doing? Jesus ain't rap. You know, we went through all that stuff. She was one of the ones that was like, you know what? She said, I see. She said, I remember she made this statement. Then I'm gonna say why I mentioned. I'm gonna tell you why I mentioned her name. I remember she stood up in a church one day after we got off stage. She said, "Hey, I want to tell y'all, it was an event she hosted." She said, "Let me tell y'all something." She said, "This is the next move in gospel right here."
Wow.
She said, "Whether y'all like it or not," she said, "This is it." Cause it was me, some partners from Memphis. I won't say me, them, a couple of folks. Maybe about 3 or 4 acts, gospel rap acts. But she was like, "This the next move in gospel." You know, folks had that crazy look on their face at that time. You know, it's better now. Oh, we can move around in it now. But she was the first. She was the very first radio DJ to play Kirk Franklin ever.
Wow.
Ever. She was the one who broke them. When they was putting it out there, folks like, I ain't playing that. And she played it. Matter of fact, when right before she passed away in 2012, she had called me to go to just out the blue, bro. She called my wife and she said, "Hey, there's an event, the National GAG Gospel Music, the Gospel Music Workshop of America." I know I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah.
But this year they had it in Florida, Tampa, Florida. She just called me out the blue. She said, "Hey, they got a gospel rap, like a panel discussion." She said, "They ain't got no gospel rapper." She said, "Somebody put it together, they ain't got no gospel rapper." She said, "Can you go?" She said, "You're gonna be the only one speaking in front of 300 like DJs and program directors." I said, "Cool." I said, "I go." I told my wife. She said, definitely I was in the shop then cutting hair. She said, "Well, you off Monday?" It's on Monday. I said, "Okay, that worked that good." I got on the plane. This was a Thursday. I got the call. I jumped on the plane that Saturday morning. I was in Tampa that Saturday late evening. Then I was there Sunday, did the panel, and then came home Tuesday. I walk in the door. Here come Lecrae and all them boys in the door. There's Tripley, Jay. You remember Jay? Jay, I know I'm saying the name wrong.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, they come in the door. They was like, "Oh, God," they was doing the show that night. I did the 4:30 show. They did the show that night. And so when she was there, I met the lady who put Kirk Franklin on the moon, Vicky Latatatame. She was on I didn't know who this lady was, but she kept saying, "Y'all listening?" It was me. It was like me, Lecrae. We was all just sitting on a row, and she kept looking at us like, "Y'all listening?" I was like, "Yeah." And my man was like, "Why this lady keep?" I mean, they were dropping number free jewelry in there. I mean, they were just talking about how to move around in the gospel space. And then when they called her name up, they said the lady who put Kirk Franklin on the moon. That's how they announced her. They said they call her Miss Vicky Latatatame. And she got up there, and I said, "Oh, this lady right here sitting beside me said did that." But then she announced it in the room too. She said Donald Grady Crib was the first person that ever played anything Kirk Franklin dropped on the radio ever.
Wow.
And then right after that, Donald Grady passed away. Right after that, and so I tell people, I said, "I missed that lady. I wish I had I said 10, give me about 100 Donald Grady Cribs, cause she saw the wave early on."
Yeah, man. Yeah. Man. There's saints like that, man, and I can relate to that story because there were people that gave us opportunities and allow us to use their facilities and those things were seeds that were being planted into what we became and what ultimately we were able to do with our gift to bless other people and win people to the kingdom, man. Absolutely. One thing that I've always said, my pastor, that he passed away several years ago, man, but one of the things he said that really blessed me, and I always see this, is that the greatest enemy of a move of God is the former move.
Yes, sir.
Because people want to stay, and you know what? That makes me check my motives. Because a lot of times God's trying to do something new, but we want to stay stuck here. You know what I'm saying? We don't, because that's all we know. But we're like, okay, this is all I know. But you can't limit God or put him in the box, man. You got to be willing to be open and say, okay, God, if this is you, why am I going to try to come against it? So you got to have that open, like you said, man. It comes down to being teachable. But at the same time, opening, yourself up to what God has, because he's not limited. He can use whatever he wants, when he wants, however he wants. So
yes, sir. Bo, I'm talking about, you hit it on the head, man. I'm with you. I tell people, they say, man, especially for folks that don't believe God, man, why you believe God? I said, Joker, look up and look around. I said, you see how big the earth is? That's all.
Right.
That's all the proof I need right there.
Right.
He that big. But let me ask you this, bro. South by Southwest, man. Now, I done watch y'all boys for years down in Austin, man, move around with, so everybody knows South by Southwest. But when I saw y'all working on the gospel rap set, to me that was impressive. I ain't saying it for the show. I'm like, man, they got in South by Southwest and put a gospel rap component to South by Southwest. I'm gonna say this. I don't think people, and this is just my opinion, I don't think the gospel rap genre will appreciate something like that, because I'm like, this South by Southwest, y'all down there working in the cut, putting a gospel rap component. Like, how did y'all establish that? What was y'all mindset establishing that component to South by Southwest?
So I want to let you know, we weren't the first. There were some people who had some other showcases. You mentioned the South.com. There were several years that the South.com had that platform through a brother. And that brother that was over that aspect of hip hop, he happened to be friends with a lot of guys that were working in that space that kind of helped put together one of the very first showcases of Christian hip hop. He moved away. So this guy that was involved, he moved away. And in his spot, my brother that I was telling you about, Ahmad, aka Victorious, he happened to form a relationship with this new guy that they brought in that was over all of the hip hop stuff that was going on. And he just threw it out there, because at that point, when the other guy that had left, it kind of died. Like, there was nothing there. There was no space there. So when Ahmad went to this other brother, that was the inception. Because I never forget the phone call. Ahmad calls me and said, hey, man, we got an opportunity to do a showcase. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I mean, my mind is blown. And for 7 straight years, like, this was the last year. This last year they didn't have it because South by Southwest was canceled.
With COVID,
Yeah. So, but for 7 straight years, man, from I think we did the first one in 2013. And that thing grew, man. I mean, just extensively, just grew and grew. I mean, to a point where there was one particular year we had almost a full week of events, like literally. And in 2015, we were tremendously blessed because the man that we've been talking about a little bit on the show, Kirk Franklin, he came and blessed us and hosted it. And so it's just been a tremendous ride, man, just to see. And like you said, people don't know the work that goes into something like that, man. They really want to get on that stage, and I ain't mad at them. It's their opportunity to do something, but they don't know the work that we have to go through to make sure that they can get on that stage. Right. And so a lot of sleepless nights. But I'm talking about months before the event, and then even when the event takes place. But all of it, man. To have something like that, to be a blessing to the city, but at the same time, a blessing that blessed so many people that came from all over the country. Some people from all across the waters, like overseas. We blew my mind, man. One time we had an interview with somebody, and they were like from Holland or something. They came, and I'm like, it's just crazy how God used that thing, man. But it was just, like I said, to be in that space where God used us, to be able to have something that we could present that was a blessing to the kingdom, that was we were featured on our local news. And they're showing people straight up worshiping, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Having that platform to just point people to who Christ is, that made all the work and everything that went into it worth it, man.
Right. That's what's up, man. Cause I've been following. I said, man, they in South by Southwest, and for me, to me, this how I am in the gospel rap space. I tell cats all the time, bro. I'm like, anytime gospel rap can be included, is a win.
Yep.
I don't care if one person is in that audience, it's a win. And
Absolutely.
so especially on a platform like that, and another thing too, when you were saying that, I was thinking about all the remember all the conferences that was around the country at one time, like the Holy Hip Hop Awards, the Texas Hip Hop Awards. I know they had the Midwest one. I know they still do Kingdom Choice in New York. I got to get up there. I almost made up there one year.
Me too, man. Me too. I'd love to go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. I just remember. No, I was. I had a ticket to go to Florida, Orlando, Florida, for there was an award show event, and they wanted me to oversee the gospel rap part. They heard about me here. They said, "Hey man, can you come out here?" And it just didn't work. And so I still had, you know how the airlines, they like, "Hey, we don't want to give you money back, but we can get, we'll hold your money for a year."
Right.
And so I said, "Well, man, I'm gonna go to New York. I'm finna go holler at these boys up there in New York at Kingdom Choice, and we're gonna see what we can do up there."
Right.
And just couldn't get up there, man. For some reason, I ended up taking that money, and I flew to California somewhere. But I got to get up there, man. But let me ask you this, bro. The conferences and the events like that, bro. Like, it's not that many. I know we did one here called the Lifeline for, I want to say 9 years. Here, and I mean, we went out to, that's what you was talking about, putting those things together. And I mean, we went out to State House Convention Center, one of the rooms in there, and it's not cheap at all. And then you got cats, they just come in from everywhere, come in rapping and ministering, and it's like a big gospel rap party. Then it's over. And so I know, man. And what's the need, or what you think we can do as a whole to get that wave back going of the conferences? Because to me, I know that's how I met a lot of cats, especially like when Atlanta. I tell people all the time, to me, the Atlanta Holy Hip Hop Awards at one time, to me, in my opinion, was like the Super Bowl of gospel rap. Because everybody and their mama flocked down there. I mean, and just to be a part of that show was, they didn't select everybody, so to be a part of that show was something else too.
That's true.
What do you think, bro, we can do as a whole in the gospel rap space to bring that back, the conferences where cats can not only come perform, but they can come get taught too, as far as, things we talking about, not business and ministry and those things. I think those things are important.
So I'm a firm believer in chronicling things. So I think it's important for people to kind of show what you mentioned, show the benefit of these events.
Right.
You mentioned another cat that I should have much respect for, Thizzle. I never forget Thizzle told some cats one time in regard to our Kingdom Experience event for South by Southwest. He said, "Man, if they call you to come, don't worry about a check." He was like, because that's not what the event is about. The event is for you to grow, because he said, you're in a place where the executive from Atlantic Records is sitting in front of you.
Right.
The person that runs MTV or whatever division of this television network is right there. You got, these people are right there in front of you. Where else are you going to find an environment where those type of people in the industry are right there, and you can learn from them, you can grow from them? So he's like, don't worry about a check.
Yes, sir.
You're in a place where you getting a full flat. Like he said, I came to South by from their invitation, and I found a dude that did my videos. I found a dude that did my graphic stuff. I mean, all the stuff he started like that he found while he was here for South by Southwest. So that's part of it, is that networking that takes place. That's essential. You can't do everything on your own. And if you think that, you're deceiving yourself.
Yes, sir. Bro, you better say it loud, bro. Say it to the folks in the back.
You can't do everything on your own. And to have that mindset, you come out the gate already defeated. So it's important. And once again, that all goes back to investing in yourself. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be in a situation where networking takes place. I'm gonna tell you another event, man, that I never got to go to it, and I've only been to it once. But Flavor Fest, man, down in Tampa.
Shout out to the boys in Tampa. Right.
Dude, I mean, they got so much knowledge from all types of things that's going on during it, and then on top of it, awesome ministry that's taking place. So. Urban D, man, Pastor Urban D, man, Pastor Tommy, just incredible. And I think they're getting ready to start Flavor Fest back, which they hadn't been doing in a while, but it's important, man. I think that those festivals and those conferences, they are essential for the aspect and the element of networking and building. And like you said, you get to meet cats that you never knew before.
Right.
And find out that they never knew you, and you get to connect. And so those, yeah, man, that's one of the one trip that I remember, man. I got to go with a homeboy of mine named Albie, who was the producer of my when I had my video show. He went with us. And then my boy from San Antonio, DJ Sermon, we got to go together, man. That was just one of the best road trips I don't like driving, man. I don't like driving far. I mean, I can drive, but I don't. When you talk about going across the nation, it's like, man, give me a flight. Give me a flight. Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, so, hey, bro, go ahead.
We took that drive from Texas all the way down to Florida, man. And it didn't even seem like a long trip because the fellowship was good on the way there. We fellowship with people there, and we fellowship back. So, but that's important, man. I think that those conferences and festivals, they help build that camaraderie and that fellowship that we need as artists, as believers.
Right, bro. You hit it on the head, bro. I was about to tell you, man. I know my driving limit is 8 to 10 hours. That's it. Anytime I go somewhere, man, if it's me and the fam, and we like, hey, where we going? Oh, we gonna go outside 10 hours? Nah, we flying. I ain't finna drive, man. The last trip I drove was 2 years ago. 19, but right before COVID hit. We was on family vacation. We drove to Destin, Florida, man. When I tell you that was the longest trip, man. We had some other family members. They want to take a bunch of stops, and so I said, man, I don't do a bunch of stopping now.
Right.
I get in, I'm rolling. Let's go.
We try to get there.
Y'all got y'all food ready? We gone. And so we got to get there. So, but yeah, that was the last longest trip I drove because of all the stops. But let me ask this, bro. What's next for DJ D Lite, man? Talk to people, let everybody know, because I'm gonna say this before you answer, man. Is that for cats that's looking at, especially the artists, man, whoever looking at this, man, you I consider, in my opinion, one of the pillars, one of the DJ pillars in the genre. I'm not saying this cause it's a show, because it comes from just observing the game. I tell people all the time, I say, man, in anything, you could be a game player or a spectator. I said what I've learned in gospel rap is doing both. I can get on the stage. I'd have been ministering on stage in front of a ton of folks, or I done been to the projects where it's only about a handful of people out there. Rapping across the street from the dope boys, and so. And then just seeing the DJs, everybody I mentioned before, DJ, I Rock Jesus, and all the DJs we mentioned before, and yourself, like, you one of the pillars in this game, man. And so,
I appreciate it, man. Much respect,
man, because you've been putting in that work. What
Praise
I tell
God.
people all the time, man, that gospel rap is not a lucrative space. It's challenging. I like the word you said, balance. You're trying to balance the ministry versus what you need to do in industry standards. I was one of them cats early on that was like, oh no, ministry before the industry, and I still am. I'm still like that. But then, growing and over time and maturing, and the Lord's like, hey, you better start putting some paperwork in front of folks, because you need some money.
Yep,
to keep,
absolutely.
To keep moving around. And I tell cats all the time, I said, man, they were like, well, man, money the root of all evil. I said, well, if you ain't doing
it's
evil,
the love.
Right.
It's the love of money. It's not money.
Right.
It's not money. Jesus knew that. Jesus went go fishing and said, hey, here's the money, go pay the taxes.
I was about to say that, bro. Right. Exactly. So I told the cat, I said, if you ain't out here doing evil with the money, this ain't talking about you. But we need money. Ecclesiastes say money answers everything.
Absolutely.
And so I said, man, we got to have money to move around. But what you've been doing for years, man, I tell cats that I can name, I ain't gonna name them now, but I done kept my eye on all the gospel rap DJs. I'm talking about in this country, coast to coast, bro. You one of them, man, because you've been putting in that work, bro.
Man, to God be the glory, bro.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Yeah. So what's next for you, bro, and how everybody can follow you on social media, man?
Yeah, man. So hit me up, man. DJ D Lite 512 on all of them: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But man, yeah, dude, I'm in an interesting space, bro, because I'm almost in a cocoon state where I'm like a butterfly that's getting ready to come out the wrappings. But a lot of it, man, I see God taking me back to a lot of the first things that I used to do. And it's really interesting. You know what I'm saying? You mentioned DJing. For a while, I was like, well, man, maybe this was just me, I'm not as young as I might look.
Right.
But in my mind, I was like, well, maybe my DJ timing is over. And very recently, the Lord was like, who told you that?
Right.
I didn't tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Right. So my passion and my desire to use the gift that God has given me, and I do. Let me tell you this: I am not one to brag and say I'm one of the best DJs or anything like that. But I know music just because God has equipped me to know it. So I know what's good and I know what works. But man, really, dog, I think right now I'm in a place where God is positioning me to do a lot more integrating what I do as a DJ with ministry.
Right.
A lot more of that. I'm going to give you an example. One of the very first places that we had to do ministry as far as hip hop ministry in our city was a place that was called His Place. And it was a ministry center that was literally in the middle of 6th Street. And for those of you who've never heard of 6th Street in Austin, that's the party street. That's where everybody comes. Right in the heart of 6th Street, when people were coming from the parking lot across the street, coming into and these were all the bars and everything are. Right in the corner was this ministry center. And God gave us favor to do all kind of events, man. We brought in all kinds of people and did events for a while. In fact, we used that event, the very first event we did in there, we did it. And this was a seed that we didn't realize we were sowing, man. But ultimately what we did was a ministry to South by Southwest. So we called it J by JC, right. Jams by Jesus Christ. So what ultimately what that was to me, and the place shut down. The reason why it shut down, man, because the people that had started it, like before that, it was set up to be a ministry center where people could come and it was like the people hear the music, they come upstairs and they like, these people talking about God. You know what I'm saying? Some of the people get saved, some would get delivered. And so God was using it. What happened is the church that started it, they were from another city. That's what's crazy. They're from a whole different city in Texas, and God laid it on their heart to open this place. Mm-hmm. It closed down because they turned it into a church, and that wasn't God's intention.
Right.
He didn't. And dude, when they made it a church, about 3 months later, it shut down. Because that wasn't what God wanted it for. He wanted it to be a lighthouse. So ultimately, that's my vision, man, is to see something like that created locally and eventually nationwide. I have a vision to see these things across the nation. How that's going to happen, I don't know. But that's where I'm at in the integral kind of early aspect of seeing that happen. Now, in case you don't know, one of the things that I also do, this is still answering your question. One of the things that I do is I travel with a ministry that I got involved with almost 4 years ago called Zero Gravity Outreach. Mm-hmm. Zero Gravity Outreach is an extreme sports outreach team that uses extreme sports. They use the aspect of DJing, music, all of this, lights, everything. And literally, man, think of a Billy Graham crusade with Fast and Furious in a big old concert. Oh, that's what we do. And so by the grace of God, man, you probably have to have me on a different show to explain how it all happened. But God literally led me to these guys. One thing I'm a firm believer in, Ron, and this is where I've gotten in my walk. I don't want to be limited to a genre. Right. You know what I'm saying? I never wanted to be limited to just Christian hip hop. So a lot of what I do with these guys, you know, it's a lot of EDM, it's some rock, it's some hip hop. It's like it's an amalgamation of all types of things, but it all points to him. Right. And when you see what happens, I mean, with them, you got the FMX guys on bikes jumping, you know, they doing flips in the air, and I'm on the ones and twos, bro. It's an incredible sight to see. And what we do is we use that to minister to people and bring them to the kingdom. And I can tell you, it's a blessing, dude, to see thousands of people. You know, you give the altar call and thousands respond, you know what I'm saying? Because you're just using that, you know, as a way to just be a way to get to introduce them to Christ. And what we tell them is, you're not watching the show. This is just how we worship.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so that's something that I'm very actively involved with. I'm on the board of the ministry. We didn't get to travel like we did, you know, normally because of COVID last year, but we're getting ready to do a whole bunch of shows just coming up June, July, and August, and throughout the summer. So I'm really excited to be back with them doing that. So that's an active part of my walk as well, of the things that I do. But I'm also, man, I'm getting ready, hopefully really soon, to get back into the music radio space. I believe God's telling me it's time to pick that back up again. So not too long from now, you might be hearing me back on, some platform out there, but that's another thing that's on my heart real big right now too.
That's what's up, man. I love hearing that, because I agree with you on that God can use anything to draw people. I tell people, man, God is I tell people all the time, I say he moves undercover. He's so slick with his moves that he move undercover. Folks be like, man, that can be, y'all talking about jokers flying in the air on BMX bikes and flipping can draw folks to the Lord. I said, man, absolutely he can. I said, man, God use anything to draw people to him. And that's and I think the thing with us is men, women, we flesh, and we put these limits on God, like, oh, God can't do that. God ain't into that. He ain't. Like, we sitting in the Jesus boardroom with him, like, no, Jesus, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that right there. That ain't gonna work. Jesus, like, Joker, I'm Jesus. Who? Joker, get
I found the minute you say that is the minute that he'll do it in your face, and your mouth be like, He did it. I didn't even know how he did it.
Right.
So can't limit it, man.
That's it, man. I tell you, Cass, I said, man, God can use
anything.
Anything. When you thought about that, when you said that, I thought about back in the day, there was a car club. I don't even know if they exist anymore. The Holy Rollers. I met them in Atlanta at doing some ministry work. They had a Holy Rollers car club.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay. They said, yeah, we just a car club. We just point everybody to the Lord. I said, okay, that's cool.
Awesome.
I like cars and big rims. I'm from the South. I get it. And so,
right.
And so I tell people all the time, man, God can use whatever, whenever, however to get his message across. We just have to be open to receive.
I heard somebody say, man, if you concerned about it, God is 10 times concerned about it. If it means that much to you, he wants to be a part of that thing.
Yes,
so a lot of times we think, well, no, God wouldn't be interested, man. If he created it and you have a passion for it, who you think gave you that passion for it? The devil didn't.
No. You sure right, bro. You sure right. Bro, this was good, man. We got to get you back on, man.
It was a blessing, bro. I'm honored once again that you had me on, man, and just keep doing what you're doing, bro, because it's needed. These conversations and the building that's taking place, I know God's just gonna continue to bless you through it.
Bro, we trying, man. I tell everybody, I said, man, I know I said in the beginning, the thing we try and do with this podcast is just to build the stories and show the stories of gospel. I ain't want to bring on, we're gonna talk about whoever got the hot song. No, just talk about the story, because for people that there are people out there that's interested in gospel rap. They just don't know. It's not marketed. We don't see it on TV or ESPN or in the movies a lot. And folks like, man, what's this gospel rap, man? Who's this DJ D Lite dude? Oh, okay, this how he get down in Austin, Texas. I can link up with him, and do this, do that. So I just tell Cass, man, that's what we build here. I remember the Lord put it on my heart to even do a podcast. It had to been, bro, I want to say 2000, maybe right at the end of 2018. Just he just gave me the name of it, and then when COVID hit, I'm talking, man, we at the very beginning of COVID, and everybody, just kind of sitting around. Everybody, look at it was when you remember when COVID hit, and you couldn't find wipes and tissue, Lysol, jokers out there hustling. Look at they hustling tissue now. They say you can get some 6 rolls for $30. I said, man, come on, everybody on $30 for those 6 rolls of tissue, man. And so
that's crazy.
That's when he said, do the podcast. I was like, all right, Lord, ain't nobody, I can't, the building we lease out now, the building space we lease out, like the lady here, she wouldn't let nobody in the building, bro. She was like, if you don't work here, you can't come. You got to get your forehead checked, wear your mask, it's all the precautionary stuff. And so that's when he said, this is what I want you to do, and then the rest been history. And so, but yeah, man, we got to get you on sooner than later, bro.
Hey, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm on it anytime you want. Just give me a holler, bro.
Yeah, so we're gonna get off this thing. Let me click this right here. I'm gonna inbox you the info I was telling you about the Church of Austin too, bro.
Okay.
And that's the refill, y'all. Already. Look here. That was good. Episode 36. It's in the bag. That was good, man. DJ D Lite, let me tell y'all something. I mean that with everything. He's one of the pillars, DJ pillars in gospel rap, because gospel rap, just like any genre of music, we need the DJs to play what the artists are making in the studios, and so this brother been putting it down for a long time, and that was good. He was just dropping free jewelry for y'all tonight. So I hope y'all, if you're just not tuning in, rewind the video and check out the very beginning, and you're gonna be blessed by everything he's talking about in the conversation we had. Listen, before we get off this thing, before we end this podcast, listen, if you're an artist and if you want to be on one of the next episodes, we're now booking for June and July, just let us know. You can inbox us. You can email us. Just look at the bottom. You'll see the information at the bottom, scrolling at the bottom. You can email us, and we'll put you on. It's just that simple. We just want to check you out, see if you fit what we're doing, and boom, you in the game. Also, we need donations. I'm going to ask for money every week. People do donate to the show. We need money to stay on the internet, to keep this show going, to keep this platform growing. You can be a part of it too. If you want to donate, just look at the bottom. You see a lot of information scrolling at the bottom. You can donate through Cash App, VENMO, PayPal, all three of those payment platforms. You can use any one of those three to donate any amount. Any amount would do. We take the money that you donate to this podcast and we put it back into the podcast. It's just like flouring. It's just like putting water in a pot, in a flour, on a flour. Take the water, pour it on the flour. So we take the money and we pour it back into this platform so we can continue to grow and y'all can continue to see great shows in the future. Also, if you want to be a part of our digital street team, just look at the bottom, email your information, or you can inbox me and I can send you some information about what you can do to help us grow this platform, because we're growing, we're moving, we're grinding, and we're still trying to figure out this podcast space, and you can help us too. So if you want to be a part of the digital street team, just let us know. And one last thing, listen, y'all tune in every week, every Thursday, every Friday, 6 p.m. your time on the Refill Show page, the Facebook page. We still working on getting the website up, the YouTube channels up. We got all the social media spaces, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, the website. You can go to @The Refill Show for everything, and you'll find us on all social media platforms. That's it for show 36, man. We about to get off this thing. We'll be back tomorrow night with show 37. We got another great artist all the way from Chi-Town, Chicago. Chi-Town gonna be in the house tomorrow night. And so, man, y'all tune in, and we hope that these podcasts are blessing y'all. Until next time, man, I'm gonna give y'all the double deuce, boom, boom, and we're gonna get up out of here. We're gonna see y'all tomorrow.